in the ginger drink. All right? So, I want to make sure that you all pay attention throughout the day because I may have some questions for you later. But I appreciate you. Just saying. All right. Now, we have come to the place that we have a very special guest who has become a very good inspiration to me as I've learned more about him. But when I saw this gentleman, almost a year ago, I was like, wow, what can we do? And Ross said, that's something. So we did, and we got it. And I want to present to you all the keynote for this year's conference, our second annual Manifest Conference, with the keynote coming from Dr. KevinDyson. Give it up for him.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, listen, I just turned 50. I'm going to tell y'all something. I'm 6 feet above ground, so good morning. Good morning. Hey, we 6 feet above ground, man. I got a lot of family I'm listening and things of that nature you're going to learn here in a minute, but we 6 feet above. We got nothing to be sad about. We're here to talk about mental health for a reason, right? So we 6 feet above right now, and we're here to help people that are struggling with things. So good morning. Good morning. Let's feel that. Feel good. So I'm going to tell you how I got to actually hear some talks about my brother Andrew, my brother Raw, who's the CEO of the American Psychiatric Association. I got asked to speak as a panelist at Belmont University, and they just wanted me to come talk about my experience as a high school principal. That's one thing we didn't talk about. I'm about to start my own charter school, but I was a high school principal at the time, and they wanted me to give perspective of what I'm seeing from a mental health perspective as a high school principal. And so I went up there and I did the panel, and it actually ended up being more reflective on me, and I started sharing my journey, and that's how my brother Raw came up to me, found out we frat brothers, and then we connected, and I met Mr. Andre and everything else, and this, he got another yo. Don't get me sidetracked. And so I began sharing my journey, and when doing that, you become reflective, and you start realizing the struggles that you have within yourself. Some of the things as I was growing up that I battled through that I didn't recognize in myself that I overcame in different ways. For instance, I talked about the weight comparison, the metaphor of the weight carrying. I was carrying a 10-pound weight as a single mother, as the oldest of a single mother. I carried that. I didn't let her know I was struggling. I'm getting to that in a minute. I didn't let her know I was struggling. I was trying to be the father figure in the house. I was trying to do things for my little brother and sister. I was trying to make sure she didn't have to struggle doing things she didn't have to cook and make sure I keep my brother and sister at school, picking them up. I had to go to pick them to the neighbor's house, get them to practice, all the things I did as an older brother. I'm carrying this on weight. And then one let her know I was struggling. When she read my book, and she was like, called me after she read my book, she was like, Kevin, I didn't know. I said, how would you, Mom? You was doing the same thing. She was carrying a bigger weight on her own. Didn't want me to know that you had it. I see my mother cry. I can count on one hand how many times I see my mother cry. As a single mother of 4 kids, I've seen her cry probably 3 times in her life, and one of them was the death of her mother. That's expected. So, before I get into my story, I'm going to ask everybody stand up. Stand up. I'm going to get you to stand up. Yeah, get your feet moving a little bit. I'm going to get you moving. Now, so this is what I want y'all to do. I know you'll come to conferences and things of that nature, come like this, and you don't know what to expect, you hope to get something. So this is what I want y'all to do. I want y'all to, just within your community right there next to you, people you talk to, if you got by yourself, go right here. What I want you to do is, I want you to be reflective. I want you to think about what you hoped to gain from here, or what you have already gained from here that you're going to take, that you would love, that you plan to take back to your community. And the community is not just where the neighborhood you're from, your community, we're a community right now, a gathering of people. Your community is people you work with. How can I help? What are you planning? What can you take? I want you to be reflective here just for a second. We're going to take about 3 minutes. I'll put the timer on and everything. I want y'all to be reflective and say, I hope to take this. I want to be able to take this. See what I learned. I want to take this back to my community so I can be a resource, so I can be a guide, so I can be a light. And it might be, hey, I needed this for my daggone self. So let's take 3 minutes with the people you're right next to. Then we're going to get into my story.
Yeah, I'm switching between the shots. Yeah. Good crowd shots, and I think I'm better on this thing because this dude's animated, so he's moving around a lot.
Yeah, it's fixed lens. I'm like, shoot, I'm having this.
Oh, I got it. 10 outside.
Yeah, so I can probably switch between wide shot and
Yep. I'm still recording, so I'm gonna do it.
I got that much time. All right, so I appreciate y'all doing that. And I hope whatever you got from that is helping you be reflective on something that you plan to attain from this conference, from your time here, that you have learned recently, or that you can take back to your communities and whatever that community looks like to you. I think that's important because as I sit up here and you listen to people talk and present and things of that nature, and that's one reason I had to get up too, because you sit down for a long period of time, is I hope that when you're up here you can say, okay, I like that piece, I need to keep that, let me chart that down, let me take a mental memory of that so I can share that, okay? So let me get into it a little bit. I'm Dr. KevinDyson, got 2 master's degrees and a doctorate after I played professional football. That's not impressive in the sense that it was out of necessity. I recently wrote a book called Qualified, so I'm Justified, and the reason why I wrote the titles because the degrees kind of coexist with that. I went back to school after I retired from the NFL, and when I got into education, I thought I was going to coach football and stuff, but I got into education, secondary education, and I didn't know what I didn't know. So I went back to school, so I would get qualified, so I was justified. I knew being a former professional athlete, I would get opportunities, doors would be open, I didn't want them to close, so to keep doors open, you gotta know what you're talking about, know what you're doing, and so that's why I went back to school, and then the second master's came, so I went from private to public, and then the doctorate was just one of those things. I'm a goal-oriented person, and I'm just an achiever. I always trying to do the next big thing, and so that's kind of my professional story in the synopsis. But my story, my journey begins in 1975. I just recently turned 50 years old a couple of weeks ago. Thank you. I'm past middle-life, but that's cool. And so my story starts in Logan, Utah, where my mother was attending school. My father played football there, and I'm born of teen parents. So statistically, especially in the black community, you're born of teen parents, I'm really not supposed to be here. Really, statistically, I'm already against the odds, right? Then we moved to Las Vegas, Nevada. Of course, then they had 3 more kids, and then they split, and then the 2 oldest, me and my brother, who's 2 years behind me, we stayed behind in Las Vegas for a few more years. And my dad, I'll get into that a little bit. My father, who struggled with drug abuse and other things of abuse, and my mother finally got situated and established on her own accord, who moved back to Utah where her family was, decided to come get me and my brother. We drove overnight back to Utah, and I was in middle school, and then I spent my formative years in Utah with a college in Utah by way of the University of Utah. Then I've been in Nashville since 1998, where I was drafted by the Tennessee Warriors. So that's my story up until that point. As I mentioned, I'm born to teen parents. My father was 18, just turned 19 when I was born. My mother was 19, turned 20 later. The year I was born in 1975. I saw a lot of abuse as a kid. And I didn't realize how that stuff affects you as an adult. So you compartmentalize a lot of things as a kid because you don't get to know folks' business. Right? I also saw my aunt, who I have a cousin who's a couple months younger than me. I also saw her being abused by his father around the same time. And so we had this hatred for our fathers growing up that we didn't even realize that we still held on to. I did not let go of that pain until the July of 2020 when my father passed away from COVID. And I just released it, and I'll get into that in a second. So my father, I remember as a kid, I have very, very, very much of memories of my father as a kid. I got some that stick out that were positive in a sense, but the negative ones seem to always come to light more or less. I remember as a 4 years old, and this is one of the most vivid memories that I have, and I never asked my mom anything, I never talked to her about it. As I mentioned before, me and my mom both have this habit of internalizing our pain and not even talking about it. When she read my book and called me, we did have a more candid conversation, but our history we really hadn't talked about any of this stuff. So I still had never brought this up to her. And I'm telling y'all, I probably should talk to her, but I'm telling this story. But, so I'm telling y'all this story. About 4 years old, this is one of the last memories I have of my family being together. And my mom held my younger brother, who's 4 years younger than me. And I just remember getting between my father, and he was kicking and beating my mom, holding my little brother. That's the memory I have. That's the memory I have. I'm 4 years old. It comes up every now and then as I speak. I've been speaking on it for the last couple of years. That is the memory that keeps coming up. And I've suppressed that, right, for all those years, right? And I remember I said I would never do that. I would never hit a girl, I would never hit a woman, blah, 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 because of what I seen as a young little kid, 4 years old. Shortly after that, my mother moved back to Utah. And like I told y'all, me and my brother was 2 years younger than me. He stayed behind. I was raised by my grandmothers, my aunties, my uncles. We were, that family takes a village type thing. We lived in apartments to apartments, project to projects. I didn't have my own bed until I moved back to Utah. When my mother finally got a 2-bedroom apartment, and I guess being the oldest, I got the bed. My brothers had shared my sister, slept with my mom. But before that, we lived with her mother, and I slept with my grandmother. So I didn't get my own bed until I was like 13, 14 years old, which that was like, I'm moving on up. I feel like Jefferson, you get your own bed. But y'all know? Yeah, somebody, we talk about we in here, praise God. Somebody give me an amen on that one, please. I thought I was living it up. So as a kid, I didn't necessarily know what a positive role model from a father figure was. So my father figure was Cliff Huxley. That was my father figure. That was what I envisioned what a father was like in the home. The doctor who came home, who was very active in his kids' lives, who was teaching them life lessons. The lesson that I always stick in my head, y'all remember he took the Monopoly money, he told me, and P.O. wanted to move out. And he was like, oh, you still got gas? He said, oh, I want to look good for the ladies. And he kept taking the money. And he said, well, I'll just have peanut butter and jelly. He took some money back in, and his dad, but you gonna have a car? Now we're gonna leave, right? Y'all remember that episode? Yeah. That stuck with me. Because that to me was what a father should be. And I didn't have that. My father would call from time to time. He would, of course, every night. My birthday's 3 days after his. His birthday's June 20th on June 23rd. And he would call from time to time and acknowledge when he wasn't in jail, of course. And he would call and acknowledge my birthday from time to time. Same thing for my brothers and sisters. But there would be times like Christmas, he would call and he'd say, oh, I sent y'all a bunch of gifts. Did you get them yet? And of course, we're excited. Like, no, we're waiting on this big old box of gifts. And my mom finally had a conversation. I learned this years later. My mother finally had a conversation with him like, listen, Steve, you got to stop telling these kids this. I got to see the disappointment when that stuff is coming in mail. They out here every day looking for these Christmas gifts and these birthday gifts and all this stuff that you are promising them. I got to live with that disappointment. So I guess my father took that as, if I don't have no lie to tell them, I'm just not going to call. So we go months and sometimes years without my father, hearing from my father. And I understand now as a grown man the demons that he was living with. I didn't understand that as a kid. I didn't understand that as a teenager. My dad was dealing with substance abuse. I didn't understand how that affects the brain, the psyche, and even his responsibilities. And so I imagine when he did that, my mother had that conversation with him, he probably went on the bench and ended up in jail and things of that nature. I've seen my father in jail several times between the plexiglass and all that kind of stuff. And all this stuff, I didn't realize how it affected me until July 2020. July 2020, COVID. I got a half-sister that lives in California. She called me, she said, hey, bro, Dad's in the hospital. He's battling COVID. I'll send you updates. Now, this is a sister that I've probably been around 2 or 3 times. I didn't even know she existed until I was I think I was even in the pros at this time. I didn't even know she existed. And so we built a relationship since then, obviously, over the last 25 years or so. And I said, oh man, okay, let me know how everything goes. A few days later, I get a phone call. It's from my dad's phone. So I'm thinking it's my stepmom calling on his phone. Now, mind you, before I go into what happened with that phone call, there's so many times I still got the voicemail messages. I still got a text message where my dad would call and I would see it. I'm like, I'll call you back. day turned into two turned into a week turned into a month turned into several months, and I was like, I need to call my dad back. And then I call him back, and my dad's one of those where he controls the conversation. He controls the narrative. Hey son, how you doing? Oh yeah, I'm doing this, like that. Oh, I just called checking. He hang up. And I just let him do his thing, let him talk. And then I would get off the phone, and that was kind of our relationship over the last few years. But in the meantime of all that, I would tell my brothers and sisters, man, we can't be holding on to that bondage. We got to let him go. He didn't know. But at the same time, as the oldest, I was holding on to stuff, and I didn't realize it until that July day in 2020 when I got the phone call. Wasn't for that. My dad called me. My dad called, and he was like, hey, son, I just want to let you know this COVID thing is making me be real reflective. I want you to know something. I want to meet my family. I want to come to Tennessee. I want to beat this thing. I want to come to Tennessee. I want to be a part of your life. I want to know. This is really bringing some things in perspective for me. I don't know my grandkids. So my dad was having one of those moments as he's reflecting on his deathbed at that time. A day later, I get another phone call from my half-sister, Deneen, and she says, hey, Steve, I'm sorry. Dad passed. Hold on, y'all. I told the story like 3 times. I can't get through it.
We're here.
So I get that call, and I just let it go. I let go of the anger. I let go of just that resentment, because I just wanted one more conversation with him. I just wanted to tell him. I just wanted to have it. Why? What was it? I know you struggled with stuff. I knew what you struggled with. And that moment, I let all that go. And from that moment on, excuse me, y'all, that's the 3rd time I told this story. So from that moment on, I started realizing something about myself. I started realizing that I was doing some of the same things with my own kids. I wasn't as present. Before, one of the reasons why I was supposed to be here until tomorrow, but I was like, let me get home because my son has football, so he can go check it, be there, be present in his life. And from that day, I just had a different perspective on my relationship with my dad. I was holding on to stuff I didn't realize I was holding on to, that I would never get the opportunity to have that conversation with him. I would never get the opportunity to tell him that I love him, even in spite of all those things. I could never get an opportunity to tell him about all the games he missed. My dad had never seen me play in person in high school, college, and in professionals. He never saw me play in live. He seen me on TV, so I knew he was proud because I know his buddies and would tell him, but he never saw me play in person. You know, he never came. And we moved to Utah from Las Vegas. It was a 6-hour drive, and he never came again. He was at my high school graduation, my college graduation. He wasn't at my high school graduation. He was at my brothers and sisters' high school graduation, and I don't know if he came to their college graduation. And so he missed out. And I recognize that now that he missed out. Got through that. So that's the story of my father. My mother, again, teen mother, 4 kids who went through this. She was a strong woman. Obviously, she's my rock. She's the reason why I do some things I do. I'm still trying to press that lady. I'm still trying to make her proud. And I know I have, because she tells me all the time, but I'm still trying to achieve for that grown woman, that woman that raised me, that woman that sacrificed so much so I could have, so my brothers and sisters could have all the things. And like as a kid, my mom would tell me, Kevin, be a kid. It's okay, I got this. You don't have to be, man, I got it. I got you. So that's my mentality. That's how I just built, because I wanted to help. So my mother, like I said, she was a teen mother. She was having 4 kids before the age of 24. My brothers and sisters, and she finally got on her feet, got a job, started off as a bank teller, worked herself up to be a president of Key Bank out there in Salt Lake City. And she began just watching her work, taking herself back to school, making herself more marketable, doing all the things that she did. That was my example. That was my example of hard work, dedication, perseverance, but also how to suppress, how to be quiet, how to just get over the hump. And with my mother, I'm not saying anything that she would be ashamed of, because I learned that from her. She didn't want us to know she was struggling. She didn't want us to know that she was hurt. She didn't want us to know that she was crying at night because she was wondering how we were going to eat. I didn't know this. My mom came out, she gave us what she could, and we moved on. There's nights when y'all remember the little cheese toast or syrup sandwiches and stuff like that, and that was good to me. That's all I knew growing up. So it was the grilled cheese sandwiches. Ooh, I still miss those. But my point is, I didn't know the struggles that she had as because she didn't let me see that side of her. It wasn't until her mother passed when she called me in tears that I really saw the emotion from my mother. And of course, at the funeral, it was again a very emotional time for my mom. And that's like I tell you, I'm still trying to recollect. I can only think of 3, maybe 4 times, I'm thinking of 4, that I see my mother cry, because that's what strong black women do, right? So that is my example of parenting. And then here I am becoming a father in my late teens. I was 19 years old, becoming a father. I guess my daughter's about to be 30 years old. So.
Could you please tell me what you're interested in?
Oh, I can tell you. I'm messing. No, I lost my thread. I was listening. And so my daughter, so I had a kid in college, and you talk about motivation. Now, my dream as a kid was to be a professional basketball player. Because I'll tell you, I'm a sidebar. It was February 1988. Michael Jordan, Dominic Wilkins, dunk contest. Man, you talk about changing a kid's life forever. I saw that, and they going back and forth, Dominique with a 2 feet double power, just tearing the goal down, and Michael Jordan just finesse and just sweet jumping and everything else. And that moment when Michael Jordan stepped back, and he takes that ball, 2 dribbles, he goes to the end of the court, and he right here, and he's 1 dribble, 2 dribbles. Y'all see the face too, you know I'm interested. He's 3 dribbles, and then he takes off and you know what that does to a 13-year-old kid? I was 12-year-old kid? Man, come on, man. Listen, I was in Utah, and it snows in Utah, if y'all didn't know that, and it's February. So what we did was we got the shovels out, we got the driveway, we had one of those adjustable goals with some of me and my friends. You know, we tried to mimic everything we just saw, man. Oh, man, that changed my life. I was like, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a professional basketball player. And to me, that was my way out. That was my way to provide for my family. So I was home and said, Mom, I'm going to go NBA so I can buy you a house. That was my dream, to go to NBA so I could buy my mother a house. That was the goal. So my mom, being who she is, raising a young man, raising several young men and a young lady, she came home. And I just recently asked her where this came from, but she came home with the statistical probability of making it in each of the professional sports. Yeah. You know what that does to a 12, 13-year-old kid when you see 1 in 2 million, 1 in 3 million, 1 in a million? Like, what is the chance that I'm going to be that 1%? Less than 1%. What is the chances that I'm going to be that one? But my mom, knowing her now and being reflective and having this conversation, I recognize that wasn't to deter me from my hopes, my dreams, my goals, my aspirations. It was to say, you still have to be prepared. You still have to do, you can't skip steps, Kevin. You can't. But I challenged her on that. That semester, the following semester, I should say, I got a 1.16. And it's basketball season's coming up. Because that's, you get the first report card and everything else like that. I got a 1.16. I had a 1A. First, before I go there, y'all tell me what I got. A. E. Well, before I tell you the answer, y'all recognize I got 3 postgraduate degrees. Yeah, so please, before I give you the answer, y'all still think it's PE?
History.
It was actually science. Yeah, I was a chemist. Sorry, it was PE. But listen, y'all heard this here, the first thing y'all say is PE. Man, you know what, I need to be intelligent, but listen, I did what I could in school. You know what I'm saying? My most important thing was how am I getting to the NBA? Forget school, I just wanted to hoop. That was all I wanted to do. I was a skinny kid. Matter of fact, I graduated high school 153 pounds with a Division I football scholarship. I was skinny, y'all. I wasn't supposed to be playing football. I had to learn to lift weights, learn to love to lift weights. So, because basketball was my first love. Football I did because I was an athlete. Matter of fact, my sophomore year, we was 10, 11, 12 out there in Utah. I didn't go to anything football. I didn't go to no summer workouts, no 7-on-7s, nothing. The coaches came and found me the first week in school and said, please come out. They knew I was an athlete. They said when I seen me in junior high. And I was like, nah, coach, I'm just going to focus on basketball. I'm just going to do this. And man, finally they asked me enough that I said, okay, I'll do it. But if I don't like it, I'm done. He said, cool, we won't bother you. So I got out there. That first week, I had like a punt return for a touchdown. I had an interception. I balled out, and I was like, okay, I'll play. And so I just kept playing, but I played football until basketball came around, and I played basketball until the next football season. I quit soccer, I quit baseball, I quit all these other sports, but my focus was to get to the NBA. And my mom, true to her form, like I said, she put that thing on the tape, on the refrigerator, and I asked her where she got that from. She's talking about divine intervention. She said she went to work, and it was in the newspaper. And so she cut it out and put it up there. I was like, dang. Because it wasn't no, we didn't have, so for yes, some of y'all younger folks, we didn't have the internet. There was no Google, there was no Netscape, wasn't none of that. You had to find it in the encyclopedia, or it was in the newspaper. That was it. And she came home with that cutout, and I was like, so that you're talking about divine intervention, that was reflection, or excuse me, intervention for her to say to her son that, look at the chances. You need to go to school, get your degree, and do things of that nature. So I get to high school, and of course I'm doing both sports. Let me tell y'all a story about my experience in Utah, because since you brought that up. I'm 16 years old, and we're going to this place, I'm gonna say, where we're just going to have a Bible study. We'll say that. Not really. And I'm in the car. I got my homeboy Tyson, who's mixed. Cortez, a little black kid, smaller than me. Eric and Daniel, 2 Hispanic kids, and one other gentleman. There's like 6 of us packed in the car. And we're going to K's Cross in Kaysville. All spelled with K's.
Yeah.
K's Cross in Kaysville. Listen, a black kid from the projects in Las Vegas, Nevada, going to K's Cross in Kaysville, already had anxiety. My chest is just swole up, right? I'm sitting there like, and this is what the teenagers went to have Bible study. They weren't doing anything illegal up there or anything like that. So when you pull up, it's about 3/4 of a mile up the trail. And y'all know Utah's filled with Rocky Mountains, so you're really driving into the mountains to the trail, and then you get to this clearing, and you see there's a bonfire going, there's a cross. No. You see, listen, y'all already know. For all the black kids, we didn't have to say nothing. We already knew. We looking at each other like, all right, so we get up there, we drive it up, comes to clearing. There's a bunch of kids from other high schools up there. Everybody's having a good time doing their prayers. And they're just having a good time and doing their thing. So you see the bonfire and you see the cross. And then there's rock around the cross. And when you get up on it, you get out the car, you get up on it, and you see what I assumed was fur, which it is, it probably was. It's fur. I'm like, where am I at? Now, I'm scared to death now. So I'm up here. This ain't nothing I'm used to. This first bonfire I've ever been to. I've never been up there, never seen a cross this big. I'm panicked right inside, internally. You're talking about suppressing your emotions at the time. I'm kind of like, I'm good. Deep down, I was hurting. I was like, I gotta get out of here. So you look at it, there's fur coming around, there's people over here, over there, and I'm just sitting there. They had a couple of big rocks that you can sit on and stand around, just have conversations, whatever you're doing, and I hear, I'm looking around like, I know I don't even heard that. But my homeboy Cortez was heard it too, because he looked at me, and I'm looking at him. We both looking at like, we hear that one more time, you know what's up. So I'm looking at him, he's looking at me. Now listen, though. I have been timed in the 40 as low as 429, 430. If they would have timed me on this day, when I heard that second sound, Dion would have had nothing on me. I'm going to tell you right now. They would have timed me at a 2.6 40-yard dash. When I heard that second sound, by the time I got from that spot, I was standing that damn back down that trail to the street, I'm going to tell you, and it was 3/4 of a mile. By that time, they would have timed me. I would have broke every record. Usain Bolt would not have had I would be him at his prime. I'm telling you. When they came through, when they finally got in the car to come find me, I was walking down the street. I left everybody. This is how I feel about that. Somebody got to live to tell the story. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a mountain lion, a bear, a tiger. Oh my! I didn't know what it was. And so I just left. I dipped. I ain't been back since, y'all. I'm like, I'm cool. I experienced it. They laughed. They pulled up in the car. They died laughing. Come to find out, it was 2 people that had ventured off to go get more wood that was just making their way back. I didn't know that, and I didn't want to stand to find out. I'm out. To this day, they still make fun of me, but I'm alive. So listen. That's my high school experience. So I go to high school. I end up, like I told y'all before, I ended up getting a football scholarship. But even still, there was a part of me that was struggling. As a kid, I remember I would be in my room struggling with the fact that my dad any of my games. And I'll tell y'all this because that's the center of my story and my journey of healing from this point forward, because there's another part that I'm getting to here in a minute. But that I tell that because I think that part of my journey I kind of neglected for the vast majority of my adulthood. I just thought that was me as a kid. There's nothing I could do about it. I didn't realize how much that was affecting me getting into college and into the pros. In college, I had a kid that's 19 years old, about to be 20, like my parents, talking about generational stuff. And that became my new motivation is as a football player. I won a football scholarship, played basketball, but went there football scholarship. So now I'm really taking it serious. Now I'm like, oh, if I'm gonna have to do anything, I gotta get my degree, I get my diploma, diploma, or I have opportunity to go and play professionally. And so that was kind of the new transformation that I went through my sophomore year in college because I had a kid on the way. You know, back then there was no NIL, you couldn't work and everything like that. So I was taking out grants and loans in college. You know, I'm coming from a middle to lower income family, and we didn't have the extra money. So if I didn't have to go to a scholarship, we didn't have money to send me to school. So I'm already putting myself in debt because I got to take care of the kid, and I'm on scholarship. And so that was my whole college thing. So when I got to the pros, my motivation changed. But so just a quick story about that. I was the 16th pick in the 1998 draft. The significance of that is I was the first wide receiver taken in that draft. I'm not telling you that as a braggadocious way. I'm telling you because there was a gentleman that was picked 5 picks after me at 21 by the Minnesota Vikings that I, for my life, since then, have been compared to. Right or wrong, and different. And I didn't realize how it impacted me and my mental health well-being from that moment on. I recognize once your name is called and it said, like, and with the 16th pick, the Tennessee Rovers select KevinDyson, wide receiver, University of Utah. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. It's one of the greatest moments of my life. It was a goal accomplished. I still made a professional dream come true. And I remember that. 5 picks later, Randy Moss was picked. Randy Moss goes on to be one of the greatest wide receivers of all time and is a Hall of Famer, has all kind of records and yardage and everything else. And my career was filled with trials and tribulations. What my mother called me about and didn't recognize and didn't realize was how much mentally I was hurting from that moment on. So when you're drafted in the first round, the expectations and things they throw it on you. Your identity is already placed upon you. You are a first-round pick. You're coming to save the franchise. You are the savior. You were expected to be very productive. My rookie year was, semi-productive, but I was playing in an offense where Eddie George was getting the ball and we were second thought. But while Randy Moss is over there catching 70, 80 balls his rookie year and then going on to hundreds and 100 balls, here I am, like, can I get the ball? Can I eat as well? And not all my teammates, I can't talk to them. I can't really tell them my story because I'm the first round pick that took their job, and they're also struggling with their futures. I got a couple buddies that were second and fourth round picks just the year before me, and I've become the first round pick, and I've taken their job. I can't go to them about nothing. These are men I'm sitting in the room with every day who are trying to fight for their jobs, so we can confide in one another because they're struggling with their own validity. So here I am, my career, my second year, we go to the Super Bowl, and had a new seeing miracle, and I go to the Super Bowl, come up a yard short, and everybody knows my name now. Now, the expectations go up. Even my own expectations. I had a great offseason. I'm really working hard. I'm thinking I'm about to really start to shine. The offensive coordinator at the time, Mike Heimer, who passed away several years ago, he's our new offensive coordinator from the previous one. He comes to me after the second game of the season. We had just beat the Kansas City Chiefs in overtime. I had a 100-yard game coming out. This is my coming out party. He comes to me that week. It's a bye week. We're getting ready for Steelers. And he says, I'm about to feature you. You're about to be the man. That's all I've been waiting on. I'm talking about from the time I got back before Randy Moss to going through my rookie year to going through my second year, going into my third year. We're in September, my third year. And it's the day before my mother's birthday. And one of my teammates who ironically, when we got drafted, I got drafted, he was a free agent. I put him up and let him stay with me for free because I felt like I had the money he didn't. I let him stay for me. he collides with me in practice. My leg stayed one way, my body went the other. Not to be graphic enough, but if this is my leg, my knee, the doctor said he could do like this at the table. Right? I tell you that because my career was threatened at 24, 25 years old. Now, what that does to you mentally, I can't even address it. Because here I am, I got the world, I'm first round draft pick, I'm in the NFL, my professional dream was at my fingertips, and yet here I am with this career-threatening injury. He comes to me, he whispers in my ear, he said, Kevin, I'm sorry, man. He said, listen, I'm gonna do the best I can, and I'll know more when I get in there, but the MRI, man, there's so much damage in your knee, I don't know if you'll be able to run again, let alone play again. 25 years old. I'm 25 years old, and this is the day for my mother's 45th birthday, and I had to call her and tell her just have this conversation. You know, she's on that first thing smoking. She came to Nashville, and I'm sorry, I'm just sulking. I'm just in tears. 25 years old, you telling me that I might not be able to play this sport that's providing so much for me, has provided for my family so much, has doing all these things that are a dream. I'm the first round pick. I'm picking for Randy Moss, and here I am with a career-threatening injury. So I go into surgery, and thank goodness, I don't know if that makes sense to say this, but thank goodness everything pretty much snapped in two. So it pretty much was a clean half break. He was able to suture it all together, and I ended up coming back. So I don't know if I was in surgery for 6.5 hours. He said they'd never seen him sweat that much in surgery. I'm so grateful for Dr. Elrod gave me an opportunity. So I came back the very next year after rehabbing, and I ended up coming back, and I had a year. I was one of the most productive. I was one of the top 5 players of plays of 20 yards or more that next year, which is pretty significant because do you lose speed and all that kind of stuff. I still was a vertical threat. So now I'm coming